Yeah, we're only
I'd like to
missing
call,
Bill Graff and Katie Burns Kaiser, and they both emailed me to let me know that Katie said she'll not make it. Bill said it's a maybe.
okay. Then I would like to call the meeting to order of the City of Venona Community Media Committee, April 10th. You have the roll, Will.
Yep.
We don't have any appearances. Um, do we have minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
I would make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, do I have a second? Anybody?
Second.
I have a second. Any changes, corrections, additions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Great. Thank you. Just gonna switch cameras here. Um, okay. Takes us to today's business. Um, and Will, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I don't have much. I added the Monona Go promotion ideas to a document, and
Thank
I
you.
guess it feels like we either decide, perhaps we want to take this on and some people want to work on some things, or we leave it sit until next meeting. I know we're missing a couple people.
Well, I think we need to talk about which ones we think maybe are most salient or that people are interested in taking on.
Sure.
So out of that list, does anybody see anything that they're particularly attracted to or they think would be effective in terms of getting more of a following with Monona Go?
Or anything I perhaps may have missed that's not on the list.
Can I ask what's been done before? I may have missed that.
Yeah, well, currently what we're doing is I included on the end of the majority of the end of my community calendar broadcasts on WVMO, which is like a daily what's going on around Monona. I just mentioned the Monona Go app, and if you should use it type of thing. And then we have it on the digital displays at the library and at City Hall and at the high school. And we have it on our website. If you go to Monona Community Media, that will be the first thing you see. And I know that the school district has it on their website when you go to the minutes, or if you want to go to the board meeting, or see the minutes, excuse me, of the board meeting. Um, there's an icon there to download it.
Can
And luckily, and the library is nice enough, they have this kind of 8.5 by 11 sheet, uh, plastic thing. I don't even know who made it back when we first launched it. I think somebody went ahead and made it and put it at the library, and I don't remember who it was, but that's still sitting there when you walk up the steps. Those are what come to mind right away that we pretty much have in people's faces consistently.
you guys tell me if whatever is not appropriate, but I'm just curious if I could ask a few questions about it in general.
Sure.
Like, do you guys have uh, data on where people are engaging for these kinds of things?
That's a good question, and that's exactly how this started because we looked at the downloads, and it probably was the meeting one or two before you were here, and I will send that to you so you have those data points.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, it was about 275 people downloaded the app on their Apple devices, and about 120 20 or something downloaded on their Android, and then Roku is like 15, and Amazon Fire Stick is like 6. So people who actually downloaded the app, and then when you look at the videos that are actually being viewed on the app, that's where it gets a little unfortunate, as it's like 3 views for this video, 1 view for this
Mhm.
video. Maybe a certain event will get 15 views, or an important council meeting or school board meeting will get a chunk of views here and there, but otherwise it's, real single digit views. Whereas when you go to our YouTube videos, which are basically just mirrors our Monona Go app,
Hmm.
um, there's a significant more amount of people who are engaging with the YouTube version of
Hmm.
our visual experience, if you will.
So Will, do you put, are there ways on this app that you can connect with things you might want to see? So for instance, I was surprised at how many people tuned in and watched the school board forum.
Hmm.
I don't know what those numbers were that came up. It was just that a lot of people talked about it.
Yeah, there was about,
Um,
during the meeting, there was about 42 to, I think was like the top number, 45 maybe it was, during the actual forum, people watching. I haven't gone back to see how many more views it had gotten after that or
yeah,
altogether.
yeah. So if you had the Go Monona app, could you have watched the forum?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
essentially the same. I say it's like our own YouTube app, in that you go to
I
Hmm.
it
know.
and it's
I
laid
know.
out very similar. It just doesn't have all the other things that YouTube has. It just has our stuff. It's kind of like
But
our
I
own
think,
video. It's our own video server, our own video
yeah,
channel.
but it's kind of like the really old days when people didn't know that they were recording the sports events and that they could see them. And that was really a big deal in Monona back in those days because, they wanted to watch a game and they could do that after the game. Now it's not as big a deal, but one of the things you have on your promo ideas, which I think is great, and I think could be very helpful. In fact, it's paired with the library, but it's the library and the senior center. And so, do you guys remember? I don't think it was Joe. Somebody had a T-shirt, and they
It's
would
Dave.
come in. Who was that?
It's Dave Bruner.
Oh, and he had the T-shirt on, and he said, "Put your phone out here. Just click." And before I knew it, I had the app on, and that was over a year ago. It was
Oh
at
yeah.
one of the concerts or something, or one of the beer events.
Hmm.
But being somewhere where other people are, like the concert, um, and you often record those. I don't know if that works as well now, but if you're at an event where people are and you say, if you've got this app, you can see it again, or you can watch it later, or you can show it to grandma or grandpa, or the kids. Um, you need somebody there making it happen because it was so easy. I mean, I turned around, I didn't even know what was going on. All of a sudden, I have the app on my phone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the great places, again, the library and the senior center. First of all, a lot of the seniors are not going to are not going to understand what you're giving them until you have a meeting and get together and show it. Really, maybe what we need to do, and Katie would be great at this, is put together a YouTube video about, do we already have one? About the app and what you can see and what you can do.
We do not know.
Take a learner like me and put me with somebody that's really good. I like Joe and the guys. And have them show me on YouTube how to do it. And then have them show me things that are kind of exciting to me, and you'll get a very positive reaction. Or use somebody like Nancy, the new mayor. What a great person. Here we are, we're talking to the new mayor. She has this app. This is what you can see. You can even do it with like 3 people or so. It takes somebody that wants to learn more about the city of Monona and their meetings. Somebody that wants to learn more about the school district and athletic events and special activities. Um, and have them kind of teach them how to use it and how to put it on, and then talk about what they can see and have them have that realization. You can do a 5-minute thing on that, and it might engage people.
Well, what other, have you done any of, one of the things you mentioned was the social media promotions? Have,
Uh,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm just, have you done that before?
We've done, yeah, we've done some social media posts when we first came out. I don't necessarily do it on a regular basis, but that's something that I could fairly easily do on a weekly basis is put it out on social media.
Is it just posts that you're putting out there? Just something you're typing, or do you run ads or anything like that?
Yeah, it would just be something that I would make. Like, whatever it would be, a picture of the phone or a picture of the app on the phone or something. I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't do like a paid thing or anything. I
Do
could,
you,
but I haven't.
what kind of numbers do you get on YouTube versus the app?
Uh, you know what? I was just, Tony, you should say that I was just signing in to see if I could get some reporting, and I'll share the screen so you guys can see some of this.
I'm assuming people are consuming it, just not in the app, right?
Interaction.
Well, I mean, they're watching some of the videos, whether it's school board or sports or something like. They're just not using the app to do it, right?
Right,
They're
right.
watching it on YouTube.
Exactly. And that's the struggle is
Mm-hmm.
people are utilizing the app, or excuse me, utilizing, excuse me, YouTube and not necessarily utilizing the app. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'll share my screen and you can see some stats here. All right, can you all see? Probably pretty tiny, but you can see that that's the time viewed. But if you go down to total views, the candidate forum, there's 52 total views
And these are stats for the app or for YouTube?
for the app.
Okay.
Um, so we are getting some views, kind of all double digits, and then it goes to single digits for some of these other videos. These are all videos, and then these are all the number of views. And this would be the total time viewed. So you can see Public Works Committee, 15 views, but only a total time view of 6 minutes and 40 seconds. That maybe would be the same on YouTube either way if they're just popping in for whatever reason. Um,
Do you have the stats for that meeting from YouTube or from Google?
yeah, I could go to it right now.
Just as an example, I'm just kind of curious.
It occurs to me that one of the other places that might be worth doing, Will, given our experience with Madison Metro, would be to also potentially have a table during the lunch periods at the high school.
Yeah,
where because we know that the high school videos are watched more than the meeting videos, and whether it's sports or the other shows that they have out of the high school, and so um maybe encourage having a table there and encouraging kids to download. I mean, they're used to downloading apps, but they may not know as much about the fact that the app exists or how easy it is to go to, a sporting event that they missed or something like that to watch it.
I think one of the challenges, though, Nancy, is that YouTube is also an app, right?
Right.
Right.
And that's where they're going.
Yeah.
Which we, it's the second most used URL to browse the internet next to Google. So we're
And
competing
growing.
with a giant.
Yeah. But it's also, I was just reading an article the other day about how much YouTube, how quickly YouTube is, when they've really taken over uh a lot, leaped over a lot of other streaming services and producing services as well.
I mean, if you look at these numbers, it would seem that this is where people are. So if you're going to try to promote an app, perhaps you do something. I don't know how you guys exactly create all these videos, but if there was a way to include some sort of call out for the app itself within some of the stuff on YouTube, that's where people are.
Right.
Have you done anything like that, like in the front, or some schools will do like little promos front or back of an event and things like that.
That's something we could do and we haven't done. So um that is certainly an option. Yeah. I mean, it would, and that's where it gets a little tough is um how much resources do we have to promote ourselves?
Mhm.
It seems like at the end of the day, the important thing is that we want people to learn about the city, and we're trying to find the way to meet people where they are. I mean, just a brief glance at this data and the questions that Alex has been asking, and it seems to indicate that YouTube has thus far been a far more effective way of reaching our constituents than the Monona Go app. I mean, it sounds like even people, if you convince them to download the app, and I'll include myself as one of those people. I downloaded the app, but the truth is that I don't really use it. That it is easier for me to see things on my laptop than it is to see things on my phone. And that I do use YouTube and I don't use Monona Go, and I'm a City of Monona employee. We obviously have paid for the app, and there's no reason not to keep trying to, as long as we have it, we might as well keep using it. But right now, anecdotally, it would seem that the juice may not be worth the squeeze with what we're doing with the app. And that the important thing is we want people to get our content, and where they get it. If it turns out they get it from YouTube, then there's no reason trying to hold back the tide if that indeed is where people are. So that's my comment on that.
Or if you're going to promote it where people already are, right? Whether
Now
it's
here's some
Facebook or something.
Here we could do some direct comparisons. Here's three council meetings, 95, 95, 97. And oops. If found these somewhere, which they're not even showing up. There it goes, January anyway. It's 4. Uh, Well, some of these doesn't even look like the council meetings are showing up as even
Um,
being watched on the app, but there's almost 100 on YouTube.
well, in that column next to the numbers where it says live or VOD,
Yep,
is the VOD video on demand, meaning that no
it
one's
is.
watching it live?
Well, I think just because this app isn't as advanced, it's constantly live. So it's basically just mirroring, oops, it's basically just mirroring our channel of what we're pushing out to our cable channel. So it's live all the time. You can click on live when you're in the app and you'll watch whatever we have live. So if a council meeting is live, you'll watch it. So that would be the tough
I
part is
see.
it doesn't show you the view of that council meeting necessarily live. It only shows it video on demand.
Got
So
it.
if
So it's just
20 people were watching it live, once it goes on to video on demand after it's over, it goes down to 0 and the live number goes up to 340 or whatever.
okay.
But to your point, like this summer, I would bet that Brennan would have some time to put some promotional video ideas together for the YouTube channel. Um, and for social media, more for social media, which I could work on right now, um, and see where that would get us. But as far as promoting on YouTube, that would probably be something once the school year is over in a couple months that we could work towards. Um, we have probably till about August or September to see where we're at and what we do with putting it back on the budget for 2026.
It'd be interesting if you did do that. You can usually track, I don't know if this app does it, but you can usually track where that traffic is coming from, right? Whether it's if it's a campaign or something.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we could what we'd have to do is since we don't really have control of this app. This is all part of this. This is our kind of cable channel automation software you're seeing here.
Hmm.
Basically, we just subscribe to a feature that they give to us or that they add on to our software within our hardware device, that allows us to stream and do video on demand and have an app. But they basically control it all, and all we do is kind of send the information to this app. Um, so the way I get information, other than what you see here, is to email them and say, "Hey, how many people have downloaded?" So what I
Mhm.
could do is email them before we do a campaign, say where we at for downloads, and then
Mhm.
2 months later email them and say, "Now where are we?" And we wouldn't really know where they came from or whatever, but we would know how many it actually got us.
Okay, I have too many questions today, but uh, uh, how much, if I can ask, how much does it cost?
Um, Probably the whole thing for our streaming through this system is about $5,200
Okay.
to get the streaming with the app and the video on demand and to have our own app and not just be um, on their app. So
Hmm. Hmm.
we basically could just be on the Cablecast app, and then you look up Monona and find it, but no one's going to search that far on their phone or their
Right.
Apple TV. So we pay extra to have our own app. So 5,200 altogether. If we just got rid of the apps, it would still stream live on our website. So we could push people to our website and say watch live on our website. and we'd probably save about $3,000.
But not, so it's significant then for,
Significant of the total cost. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the main cost is, um, you know, whatever types of servers and networking they're using to get it out.
Is there any sort of notification in the app that new content is available or scheduled?
There's not like subscribe and then you get like YouTube
Hmm.
where you get notifications. There's not.
Yep. Or most other, any other sort of podcasting app or anything like that.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Do
Um,
they do they do that if you tell them that we might not renew?
maybe, I mean, there might be we're a year, what, we're 2 years from having this, and I can only assume they're going to try to make this app better. So perhaps there's additional features that they haven't uh, given us or that we could ask for. I get updates from the company. I would think that's something they would obviously send a newsletter about. I haven't seen anything, but
Hmm.
it definitely would be worth an ask.
Because I mean, I guess if you're if you have the app, knowing something is there in some form or fashion is always something to take you back to the app. But if it's
Right.
on like the third or fourth screen on your phone, it might be gone forever for most people, right?
Yeah, about the only thing it does close to that is when you open the app, the videos you see are the most recent videos that have been
Yeah.
uploaded to the app. Other than that, yeah, you don't get notifications.
Do you have a sense of like there was stuff on the YouTube page for like Silver Connection and things like that? Do you have a sense of how are people finding that content?
On the app or on the
No, just in general, right? Like there were a ton for Silver Connection, and I know
so
most
yeah,
of them
that's
aren't
that's a
from around
total.
here.
Yep,
But
that's that. That's maybe maybe you don't.
I do, but the thing I'm thinking about is the fact that there's, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of kids here,
Yeah,
right?
thousands.
Who are
Yeah.
figuring out how to find what.
So
Yeah.
that link to the Silver Stage Invitational for each one of those links you see there
Yep.
was sent to the teacher who was putting this on MG Sings, and then that was sent to every single school that was
Okay.
coming to say,
So
here's the
they've got
links you
a
guys should
direct
watch.
connection to YouTube then,
Yeah.
right? Which, yeah, is pretty compelling.
Which is tough because that's where it gets tough, where we could give them the Monona Go link, but you have to have Apple TV or Roku to watch it on a TV or, you know, um, stream it from your phone or, cast it from your phone or pull up your computer and go to the website and then cast it from your computer. And
That's complicated.
yeah, a little too hip for the room, kind of.
It seems like the what Alex is driving at that's important is it's not really how many people we get to download the app, it's how many people use the app.
And watch
And
the content.
so when we see that, even to the degree that whatever success we've had in having people download the app, they're not using it. And I think that they're not using it because it's not as easy or as convenient or as familiar as using YouTube. And we can't really, we can't fight the public's perception of that. I don't think we should just kind of accept that the facts are what they are, with how people are finding this information. Which isn't to say that it wasn't a good idea to try it. I But the stats are pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I certainly Alex's point and then what I feel like I'm hearing is that it makes sense to try to meet people where they are, which starts with, I mean, it could be as a simple message, on the homepage of Monona Community Media YouTube that says, get the app and watch it on your phone.
Mhm.
Since we know people are going to YouTube for the information now, and see if we get an uptick in the number of people that go, oh yeah, I'll put it on my phone, and that way I don't have to be sitting in front of my laptop or in front of my computer to watch it, and see if we get an uptick, but I don't know, it just seems, to Joe's point, um, I don't know that these other promotional ideas that we thought of. I mean, we could do some tabling or do a little bit at the library or the senior center if we wanted to, but and I mean, if people are game to want to try that, that's totally up to this group, this committee, but it seems like what we're seeing is that it's not that people aren't watching things, it's just they're not watching it via the app.
I guess if you're going to do some sort of campaign, you know, however you did it, like whatever the easiest way it would be, like I think, um, I think someone mentioned, I'm not sure about the t-shirt, but I'm assuming there was maybe like a QR code or something that people just scan to download the app, like the most dead simple thing possible you could do for people. Maybe you could do that on YouTube, right? As a part of like an intro, or if you do any sort of announcements during an event or before an event, and just see if people do it. I mean, I think, yeah, you're competing with YouTube, the app, right? So that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and I think Mary touched on it about the phone. I mean, I think if anything, this app is good for the phone. Maybe not Apple TV, maybe not Roku, maybe not Amazon Fire Stick, but just having it on your phone. So if you want to watch something live, you're at a football game and you want to see what's going on with council or whatever, you just go to the app, click on the live button and watch it live, and you don't have to scroll through YouTube and try to find it. The other things are great, but I think that's where it gets tough. And I don't know if our views on the phone would still justify the cost because you're still paying for two apps. They basically charge you for each platform you want to be on as an app per se. Um, but I see that as the benefit, if anything, is just the cell phone is just going and clicking on the app and watching something.
Mhm.
Hey, does anybody else have Anita or anybody else that's
Should I stop sharing real quick here? I'll be back.
yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
There you go. Now I can see people again. Anita or Amanda or Dave, do you guys have anything you want to add?
I mean, I can say that we have a little snippet in the newsletter every month. It does end up towards the bottom. I think if we were to keep trying to promote it, I do like Susan's idea of like a video. We could put that in the newsletter as well. Um, we recently got those newsletter survey results kind of showing the demographics. So we're definitely knowing we're skewing older on the newsletter. So the people who aren't probably downloading it or getting exposed to the promotion are probably, I kind of think, parents of or students who are, but we know that they are watching the content on YouTube. Um, I feel a little like I want to think about this because if we're not sure what no one has said this, but for some reason we weren't going to continue using the app in the near future, like even a year from now, spending the time to try to get more people on board in the meantime would be not a great experience, like training folks to use it to get rid of it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't have a horse in the race either way. I can see how the app is helpful because it kind of just is our content and it's centralized. But YouTube is YouTube. It's the most like user experience friendly video app in the on the planet probably. And it's kind of like, how do you compete with that? So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what Joe was saying about, is it worth the squeeze, right? Dave, what are you thinking?
First of all, I apologize for being late. I was tied up figuratively with something else. Um, I think I think Amanda's. I kind of lean towards that way. If the app did something that YouTube couldn't do, that would be a big plus for it.
Right.
But it doesn't, and I think like if we think about like who's, I know we don't have this type of information, but who's watching the events? I know if we've watched events in the past, we've always wanted to watch it on our TV.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people are watching football games on their phone or concerts on their phone, but in general, that would mean they would be away from their TV or away from a TV. So you're putting all these additional parameters on being able to use the Monono Go app for very specific situations where generally YouTube is there anyway. So
Right. That's a tough part, right? Like the phone is convenient, but YouTube's doing similar as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I was just going to say, most of the time when I see people using their phone for something that's a movie or video that of any length at all, it's because they're traveling. It's not because they would choose a tiny screen to watch a football game or
yeah.
show, uh or a meeting.
Right. Pretty specific things.
Well, or a different demographic,
Yeah.
right? Because my kids use their phone for all kinds of things I wouldn't use it for.
So, one of the questions I have is on our agenda, it talks about discussion and possible action. Were you looking for specific action tonight? I don't know that we feel ready to.
No, I wasn't looking for action to yay or nay the app itself. Any action
Okay.
on actually doing any of these promotional items. If anybody was like, yes, I will take this on and I will do this item, that's what the possible action was. So if anybody felt like they wanted to do something.
We have a meeting at the senior center next Thursday, and I'll put this to talk about this at that it's the board meeting of the Friends. And well, I noticed one of the things you talked about in the minutes, and I know you did this, you had Sue Carr interview Elizabeth Cook. Oh, that's for the Let's Be Civil. But I think we need a challenge as a group. And I think what we should say is, and I hate to put it off a month, but I think we should each try and come back with an idea for if we were, as an individual, we were going to help promote this, how would we do that? And what I would do was go to Diane and say, let's do a special meeting at the senior center to show people how to do this and that they could do this and what they can see and what the benefits are. And that might give us some ideas about reaching out in other ways. If it's successful, we can say, oh, that was really good. Let's do it at the library. If we needed to work on it, we would be in an environment where, we've got Diane right there, and she'll talk to us and say, well, people didn't seem very interested. Anyway, it might give us some groundwork to build the foundation. And again, Katie is very good at promotional things. Again, I know Amanda and Anita work on that as well. I think if we come to the next meeting saying, yes, we're going to do something, let's decide what it's going to be, where we're going to do it, and let's try it and see if it works. Another place we could do a presentation is at MESBA.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Mesbo would be a good one for sure.
And we could do it at their monthly meeting.
I
And
what I am
you were
going to
shaking your head when Amanda was talking earlier. Were you? It seemed like you were in concurrence that
Oh,
maybe it
yeah,
would
yeah, totally. Yeah.
to add to try to get people to go to it and then cancel it.
I agree.
Exactly.
That's an issue. If we are considering that, then we should be focusing on other things that
Because
we
it's
want to promote, like
going on
WVM.
quite a while. I remember maybe a year and a half. It seems like we've been discussing promotional ideas for such a long time on this, but it's not gaining traction, and
Right.
you can't compete with YouTube. So
yeah, for me it's a little bit of a struggle. Because as I mentioned to Alex, to have the resources to say, okay, we're going to put time into promoting this app, and though we invested the money, we should put time into promoting it, but we are just how we just don't have a lot of time to sit and promote an app. We're doing certain things that are sustainable and reasonable for us to do. And there's other things that take time, like putting a presentation together and talking to a group, perhaps, but that all takes time too.
Yeah. So
If it was going
can
to
I
be
ask somebody or ask this group, since you are the deciders, if I were to just come right out and say, how many people think they would like to put time into bumping up? I'm going to give you two options. A, we're going to put more time into bumping up the numbers using it, or B, we're just going to let it go. We can make that decision. And if everybody in this group says, I don't think it's worth it, or I don't want to bump it up, and then we cancel it, we'll just let it go. I mean, we're on contract this year. We'll just, let it run its course, and then we'll be driving people to YouTube. So first option, how many people are interested in putting time and energy and creativity into additional promotions to try to bump up Monona Go as a resource for people? Raise your hand if you're interested in putting in time and energy to bump
Well,
it up.
Nancy, I think it's hard to vote positively on this if you don't know if the whole idea is it could still be canceled. And I think that's what Amanda was saying too, and maybe I misunderstood that, but let's say all of a sudden we decide to promote through the library and the senior center, and we get people involved and we get the numbers coming up, and then in December it gets canceled.
Well, that's a risk, but what I'm trying to get at first is we need to know if people are interested in even putting in it. If people feel like it's beating our head against the wall, or just not worth it, regardless, it's not worth it. We've got good numbers on YouTube, and having this additional avenue is just not worth the squeeze, as Joe would say. Then we need to know that now, and because
I would also add this, that if we are um, we're not saying what I would consider is that we're not saying no to apps at all in the future.
Right.
We're saying no to this app.
Correct.
And if we let this lag, there may be another Monona Pay and Go where you can pay your utilities on the app, or you can do city things on the app, and also watch these videos. And that could be a possibility in the future where it has more bells and whistles. So I understand what we're considering right now, and the questions that you're asking, and I would vote for B.
Vote for B, meaning
Not putting the effort into promoting it.
is that all those in favor of not putting effort into it, this app, at this juncture? Who else? Joe? Okay. All right. We have a majority. All right. So rather than devote resources, human resources or financial resources into trying to make this a go, we've decided we're just going to let it float since we're on contract through the end of the year. And not spend $3,000 on something that clearly is not working. Or of interest because people have other resources, right? Other ways that they can access the material that they clearly are opting for.
I mean, I would say one additional benefit that we didn't talk about is even though it's not a big time suck for Brennan, he is taking the time to load it up so that it does play on Monona Go, and this would be a little bit of a savings of time, not a ton. I'm not saying it's making up a lot of time, but it's still
Still
there.
time.
And there's a part of me that feels like maybe we just did it a little too early. Like we need 5, 10 years from now when those 20-year-olds, like you said, who are doing more than I would ever do on the phone are now involved in all these things and watching everything on their phone. Maybe that's the better time. Anyhow, who knows? That's just my thought when I think about why it's not working so well either is maybe it's just a little too early for our community.
Right.
And for the bells and whistles that it doesn't have.
Right, because to Dave's point, I think it's absolutely right. If there was another app came along that had a variety of actions you could take, it would be an entirely different conversation, I think, right? That people utilize for other reasons. Okay, thank you for that feedback and that decision. Do we want a formal motion or no? I don't think we need a formal motion. It's pretty obvious where we're at.
You have consensus, so
Yeah. Yep. So with that, I'm going to go to Joe for the Let's Be Civil discussion.
Well, just to give a sense of how great WVMO's reach is, right? Just our streaming service, we're peaking out at about 50 people every single day in and day out. We've always got, at least even the overnight hours, somewhere between 5 and 10 listeners. And that's just our streaming numbers, and our every reason to believe that our on-air numbers are much, much larger than that. So I think that VMO is a great way of getting civic information out there. I'm a believer in the Let's Be Civil thing. But right now, what I'm looking for folks who can ask good questions. And then I think we're going to have to start gently twisting a few arms over at City Hall, and we'll get some folks to come over to the station and maybe we'll get them talking about their jobs and what they do. The format is pretty simple. We'll try and come up with traffic segments, small features that are like 90 seconds to 2 minutes long. and educate people about what's going on with city government. We started out in the fall doing stuff about the election, talking about the functions of city council and the mayor's office with Andy Kitzlar, and then expanded this spring with a series of segments with Sue Carr talking to Elizabeth Cook about how the school board works. And all those segments have been pretty great. We've had over 20 segments on the air already. And what I would like to do is try and get some department heads to come down to the station and answer a few questions. The big thing for Will and I is that we are on the radio a lot. We do not want to tire people out with our voices. And the truth is, Will's doing the community calendar every day, which means that he's on a lot. I am the host of the VMO show most days, and I'm also doing promos, and people will hear me in traffic segments. So I am on the radio a lot, and that's not even counting if you stayed up till midnight to listen to me play old 45s on the radio, which you're probably not. But the point being, we do need not only to get interesting folks who are part of our civic life to come and answer questions, but I need people to come and ask those questions. Dave Brunner, I'm looking at you. I'm not literally looking at you because I don't see your camera right now, but Alex, you are new to this committee, but clearly you have experience in the media realm. Amanda, Anita, I would love to have people come down and just devote a little bit of time to this project, but I also need to make sure that we let our city staff know that this is something they can do. It won't take long. It's pretty painless. We make it as easy for them as possible, and we'll do the work editing the segments, making them look and sound great, and getting those on the air.
Yes, so all you need from this group at this time, Joe, right, is for people to say, sure, I'll do a segment or two, and then you would match people up at a time that makes sense for you to do the recording, right?
That's correct. And then we'll find try and find a good pairing with a person who is asking questions. What are they interested in? And then we'll find a person who can answer those questions.
Yep.
I'll help. Just let me know.
I'd be willing to do a segment or two.
Okay, so
if I'm not tied up.
Dave, we got Alex. Anybody else?
I can probably find some people too through the senior center. And Joe, would you send us an email about, let's say I had two people that said they'd come up and do it. Would you just send us an email about how to, directly contact you and get that scheduled, just so we kind of have it? I know there's easy ways to do it, but if we've got the email, then I can also give it to other people.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Do we have any? We don't appear to have any new business. Will, do you have anything to report from the department?
As far as department reports, I don't have anything specific from the department itself. I just remind people, if you do want to get involved, the other way to get involved is through the Friends of WVMO. They always need help, again, with just waving the WVMO flag, but with the 10-year anniversary coming this summer, there's all sorts of things that you could help with. It's friends of WVMO at Gmail. If you email Meg Wise, you can ask her to get involved, come to a meeting, and help them out, keep them going with promoting the station as well as raising funds, and putting on the events for the 10th anniversary, which are still in flux, so I won't bore everybody with it all, but we do, like we said last time, the San Damiano beer tent on August 14th. We'll have, why am I blanking on the name? Wheelhouse. Yep, thank you. And then hopefully we'll have something on August 20th at the Barrymore of our actual 10th anniversary date. And from a department, I think we're running pretty good. Um, nothing extravagant. I will say we have raised about $2,200 this year in underwriting for the station, and with our um, contract with the Monona Eastside Business Alliance with gathering digital assets, we have raised about $10,000. So,
Oh,
a little over 12,000 additional revenue this year so far is nice.
It's great.
Just to follow up, there is a Friends of WVMO board meeting at 6:45 on Tuesday, April 22nd, that anyone's welcome to come to.
Great.
If they're not tied up.
Well, and actually I will be, because they keep scheduling them during my show. So apparently, message received, they don't want to be my friend.
I was gonna say, related to this, I was thinking that potentially a place to promote some openings like the Need for Friends of WVMO, or another one that comes to mind is our farmers market is really looking for new people. And there's other, and the community festival is looking for volunteers, and then so it made me realize that maybe having on the easing or in some other locations to have uh to have like a volunteer corner or something for our local nonprofits to be able to reach out and try to recruit some new people might be a good thing. Which is
That's some,
different than city committees.
I think that was mentioned in the survey that there was some comments at the end of the newsletter survey that people were interested in volunteer opportunities. So
Right.
potentially could add things to the newsletter.
Yeah. So maybe moving forward, because I know one of the things that that I've heard about the Friends is that a lot of the people that are on the Friends are the same people that are doing the work at WVMO, right? And so to get some more people involved in Friends, and like I said, I know the farmers market could really use some help too. So maybe adding that as a sort of column, and I could certainly talk to City Hall too about whether or not we do something on the web, city's web, as well as sort of to support our local nonprofits, especially that are looking for help. Great. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Great. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think
I have a second. Okay. All those in favor of adjourning?
I
I,
Okay, we're gonna adjourn. Let me just say this is my last meeting, so